Today, you will hear from some of the over 2,000 active duty troops who are using their constitutional right of free speech to urge the Congress to end the U.S. occupation of Iraq. That the way the appeal is working is that today, these 2,000 plus petitions are each being faxed to the member of Congress that is the member of Congress for the district where each of the individual active military people are. So those petitions are going right now all over the Hill.
Yeah. And when I got this book in the mail here, Soldiers in Revolt, written by David Cortright over 30 years ago, it really opened up a movement to me that I didn't know exists, nor did I even understand that we actually had these constitutional rights within the military, the right to, if you're off base, out of uniform, speaking on your own behalf and not on behalf of the military, in conjunction with the Military Whistleblower Protection Act, that you can express your free will. And so that's what we've been doing here today. And over this past year, been able to collect over 2,000 appeals from mostly active duty members of the military. 23% are members of the reserves, 14% individual ready reserve, 85% enlisted, 15% are officers. Spans 10 countries around the world.
Having been a soldier on the ground in Iraq for 12 months, I think the biggest problem is that we have all these people throughout the country saying that they're speaking on behalf of the soldiers when they're not, in fact, soldiers themselves, nor do they have any connection to anyone who's ever directly served over there. And if people are going to continue to speak on our behalf, I think it's time that those of us who actually are on the ground and who this war is directly affecting need to stand up and give their viewpoint.
During the Vietnam era, as I tried to document in this book, the people in the military itself rose up in opposition to an unjust and illegal war. And by 1969, the dissent and morale within the military had reached a point, the lack of morale had reached the point where the military ceased to function as an effective fighting force. But if this occupation continues further, we are at risk of seeing our military begin to fall apart. And none of us want to see that. So it's another argument for urgently bringing this occupation to an end and reorienting American foreign policy away from these unjust wars of military intervention.
I signed this appeal, and I know there will be many other people that would wish they could have signed it, but they have families. They fear, you know, that there's more than just 2,000 people that support this appeal. One of my coworkers, he didn't want to sign it because he has a wife, and he possibly wanted to have kids, and he was fearing non-judicial, non-official punishment for his belief that this is unjust war. He supported me when I chose to speak out when I was in the active duty Air Force. He supported me, but he said, I just can't do it because I have my family to think about. And so it's more than just 2,000 people. 2,000 people have, you know, made the decision to sign it, but there's so many more out there that haven't, that have the same feeling, they wish they could sign it, but they don't want to get punished. They don't, you know, there's nothing legal that can be done about them, but there's all types of things that can happen to them if they do stand up and speak out.
And the experiences I've had in Iraq, you know, the soldiers, the friends that I've had who died and have come home wounded, I'm never going to forget them. And they're the ones who, you know, maybe can't speak out or are afraid to speak out. And because I can, because I have a voice, I feel that I would be going against everything in my moral code if I did not speak out, because that's what this country is all about, and I think people have forgotten that. So
we will sign a member letter to Secretary Gates asking that your rights be protected and asking why your rights may be challenged as relates to your military rights under your military code, and we'll also remind him of the Constitution that allows everyone the right to freedom of expression under the Bill of Rights. So Congresswoman Woolsey, Congresswoman Lee, and myself, and we will ask other members to sign that letter and get it out as quickly as possible.
We are, in the Congress, the active duty members of the United States House of Representatives. But none of us hold a candle to all of you. And I want to thank the real active duty brave men and women who serve in our armed services, including all of you who are here today and have joined us, and every one of the troops who has signed these petitions. whether you're serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, or actually here at home, we are indebted to the men and women of our armed forces for their honor, for their service, and their sacrifice.
And of course, let me thank Linsey, Jonathan, all of our brave young men and women. You are truly patriots. You are the ones who are the brave souls right now at this point in our history, to come forward to do this, to say to the world in no uncertain terms that the best way that we can support our young men and women is to bring them home takes a lot of courage. And I just want to salute you and thank you very much. I am the daughter of a military officer, Lieutenant Colonel, 25 years. And so I'm very proud to be here with you, and thank you for your service. Let me say a couple of things with regard to the fact, and the appeal is so important, because we all know the Iraq Study Group even said that there is no military solution to this civil war in Iraq. We have our young men and women over there really refereeing a civil war, and it's time to bring them home. So let me just thank you again. I'm very proud to receive the signatures from my district, and I'm delighted that more than 2,000 brave men and women, and I want to emphasize brave men and women, are doing this today, making this communication to their members of Congress to end this occupation and to make sure that Congress does what we need to do, and that is use the power of the purse, use our congressional authority to fully fund a redeployment and withdrawal.
You know, I've been to 5 funerals in my district, and in the last one I was at, a 19-year-old young man from Pueblo High School that died in Iraq. And I always call ahead because I'm a real opponent of this war, and I don't want to insult the family by just showing up. And so I called ahead, and they said, fine, we'd like you to come by. Went by to give my thank yous. And the mom, in Spanish, she didn't speak any English, held my hand and asked me, Raúl, you know, I believe you. Why? Why did this happen? I had no answer. And part of the answer is what this appeal is doing, that there is a voice that needs to be heard, and that's so important. And I thanked you for the courage. And it's really important. And I hope that being here in D.C. and sending us the petitions, that I hope that courage translates into the courage that this Congress needs to meet the expectations of the American people and the expectations of this movement.
I see this from the perspective of veterans in my position as chairman of the Veterans Committee, and I will tell you, no matter where we are in the war, and all of us have been against it from day one, we are going to be united in saying that every young man and woman that comes back from that war gets all the care and attention and love and respect that we can give as a nation. And if we don't, we know what's going to happen. I mean, we look at the Vietnam era vets. We did not take care of them. We made a mistake. And we see the same thing happening again. The suicide rates are back up to where they were in the Vietnam period. We've seen homelessness already. We are not, you know, the president says support troops, support troops, support troops. When they come home, they're on their own.
I go to the meetings of returning Iraqi veterans and Afghanistan veterans, and I hear about missed opportunities of resources and counseling. So let me accept the challenge of the appeal for redress. Let me ask you to, as we say in churches, make me a vehicle and a word of your word. Let us go out across America to wake up America.
And I just want to say the idea of redress is a very wonderful idea. It's to right a wrong. This war is one of the great, in my opinion, illegal, unjust wars of the century, maybe ever. And you are all so brave and so willing that you have gone there. But the time for the war to end is now.
That's how I see the appeal for redress, is taking the law that is written and putting it into action. And so in the short term, continuing to do that, continuing to get as many members of Congress on board with us, because we believe that, you know, once those who are within the military, those who have served, continue to put their pressure on this Congress is going to have to either yield to demands of the people, or, as David Cortright alluded to earlier, the people will begin to take unorthodox and untraditional acts of protest and dissent to bring this war to an end.